Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good afternoon everybody. I'm glad you're here with us on the Militiaman and Crew Patreon and YouTube channel. I'd like to say thank you to all of the crew members. I believe that each and every one of them have given us so much of their time, their effort, and input. Their professionalism in not only in their daily lives, but in our Discord chat room is amazing. I think that they've done a heck of a job, and I hope that they keep sticking with us and keeping this place up and running. So thank you. Kudos to all of them. Samson, Day Trader, Petra, Pompey Peter, GG, Sunkissed, on and on. There's just numerous people that keep this channel going in the background. The Patreon community with Militiaman and Crew, the Discord chat room brings nothing but value to this place. The amount of news that I go through each and every day, it comes in 24/7 effectively. I can't do it all, but I get to as much as I can. The Samson, she's in a different time zone, so understand that data is being fed to us from different time zones. Our channel has about 38 to 40 different countries that we're dealing with and talking to, so there's all sorts of people from around the world that are enjoying this content. Just us bringing in news and analyzing it to the best of our ability is what we do. No hype, no real advertising. We are on YouTube. We do that, but the fact remains is Patreon is pretty much on its own. So thank you for being here. Hey, look, there's been a lot of things going on, and I'd like to start off with one particular item is that al-Sudani had a request to come to America, and they refused that. What they wanted him to do was to complete a few things that they felt that he needed to accomplish, and Washington basically still refuses to receive the Iraqi Prime Minister, al-Sudani. And what they offered him to do was, firstly, they wanted to see tangible achievement in the field of combating corruption, exposing major corrupt leaders, submitting a list of their names to the Ministry of Defense on the American side, and for the purpose of pursuing them and draining their money. Now, there's a lot of people in Iraq, not in a lot of countries, but in this particular case, this country have a lot of corruption. The graft at the borders, revenue streams been tapped. They want that to cease, and so that's been something that he has been asked to take care of. The second thing was starting to dismantle the popular crowd by merging with the security and military institutions, stripping the powers of the administrative and military leaders. We'll go on to the third, monitoring the movement of Iraqi money and not allowing foreign currency to be smuggled into Iran and Syria, and to those that support their Revolutionary Guard. Basically, I guess the letters stated that al-Sudani didn't achieve tangible achievements in the areas that Washington insisted on resolving, except for pursuing and arresting a number of minor corrupt people who are nothing but arms of the party leaders who form militia or mafia, serious corruption styles. Washington wants them to dismantle that, and they're suggesting in this particular case, this dates back a little bit, that al-Sudani is still far from achieving the demand of their demands. So, but we're going to see in a little bit that that's not the case anymore. So it's actually a good thing, but this is what he was asked to do, and we're going to be able to see, if you haven't already, that happening. And why it's happening? Well, just the other day that the Ministry of Defense in Iraq, his name's Al-Abbasi, met with an American delegation. So what we're talking about here in this particular case is the Minister of Defense meets an American delegation. So if they're going to meet, a Ministry of Defense is going to meet with the Ministry of Defense. Okay, that's how they work. So they got together during the meeting, which was attended by senior officials of both sides. They discussed bilateral relations between the two countries and ways to develop them. develop them. So they've had these meetings. And so that particular issue right there was a request from the Defense Department. Well, in this particular case, was Washington, and then interestingly enough, the Defense Ministries got involved. It sounds like they've are pretty serious about what they're talking about here. On a good note, what we also see at the same time that these articles are coming out, the focus is that Iraq joins the Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units. Basically, Iraq is winning a membership of the Egmont Group, which is concerned with the exchange of information between the financial investigation units related to combating money laundering and terrorist financing. So we can see that this is something that's been on their minds. They make up now a total of 170 countries that are involved with this. They did this on the 5th of July, and it's in stone. They have the session, so that's a good thing. Basically, the quote here, with the session of the Republic of Iraq, the number of member states has reached 170, so that's kind of a milestone. It basically states that these 170 states help in tracking money of criminals, those under investigation directly, and they can do it safely, which provides judges investigative tools that help exposing crime and recovering money in criminals. So look, Iraq has been pilfered for a lot of money, probably more than anybody would care to even guess at. It's that much. It's got to be in the hundreds of billions, if not in the trillions of dollars over the last 20 years. So hopefully they're going to claw that back for the citizens, put it back in their coffers. But one of the things that they've been talking about, and you'll see this theme, is that they're talking about corruption. You're going to see that al-Sudani, Mandelawi, they had meetings. I'll get to that. But interestingly enough, this particular article here is talking about the arrests of 46 different entities. It says the Federal Integrity Commission announced that the arrest of 46 accused of the owners of private exchange companies against the backdrop of manipulation, forgery, circumvention of the platform system for selling foreign currency. And so basically these teams were able to launch an inspection campaign, and after the investigation and auditing operations, they overthrew 46 of the owners of these money changers because they used the passports of citizens and uploaded them to platform systems approved by the central bank and withdrew the amounts of $2,000 for each passport without the knowledge or consent of the passport holder with a forged travel ticket. You're going to see some more on this in an even a bigger way, not just the $2,000 US. We're talking big money. So that's 46. So there's 46 people. This particular article here is there's 50 more. Okay. So when they say that al-Sudani needs to go fight corruption, as we can see over the last couple of weeks, there was 46, this is 50, that's close to 100. It says the Director, Organization, Crime Operations, Ministry of Interior, Brigadier General Hussein Al-Tamimi, revealed that there's new secrets related to the trade of foreign currency, the dollar, in the local parallel markets. So 50 companies in the provinces of Baghdad were seized in violation of the Central Bank of Iraq's regulations in selling dollars in foreign currency. And so they have legal measures taken to them. It says we also caught the owners of malls, residential complexes who charge rents from their occupants in dollars. Well, we know that there's a law on the books that states that they can't do that. They have to use the dinar. And they basically are breaking the law. So they did the 50 people. And then here today, just within hours, it says the integrity The Integrity exposes a money laundering network that transferred $68 million abroad. So $68 million is a pretty big chunk of change by anybody's standards. They did this with the intent to arrest and bust them. So they did. Says the provisions of Article 44 of the money laundering law. A member of the network was arrested based on the provisions of the aforementioned article. The case was referred to the money laundering court. But basically 68 million amounting to about 13 billion dinar. That's a lot of money. And especially if they do an exchange rate change, if you happen to have those dinar, that's could be insane amount of money. So those are some of the items. The next thing I kind of wanted to get at is that if we back up a little bit and we understand that what has happened is that Al-Sudani has filed an appeal to the 2023, 24, 25 budget. And basically, Prime Minister Shia al-Sudani submitted an appeal to the federal court against a number of paragraphs of the general budget law with requests to the court to issue a state order or basically stop the implementation of these articles after the law entered into force until the court decides to challenge the constitutionality of these articles. Basically, there are cases that are actually illegal, and they expected them to be challenged. So this is actually not something that was definitely like out of the blue. It wasn't a blind side. They basically knew that some of these paragraphs were changed. So it took a lot of effort for someone to actually go from the HOR to the president's desk and have them change those paragraphs. Well, Al-Sudani basically, I'm sure, as we can see, is that he filed an appeal because the way they went about it was sketchy at best. And this has happened before, it happened again, and the court ruled for the favor of the government in that those things have been unconstitutional in the past. We believe that this is another time where I think there's confidence, and we'll see that Al-Sudani is not too concerned about it because he's having this other meeting. So it basically also says that the government decided when they did to appeal these articles, they were basically, some people thought that maybe they would stop the budget from being implemented. It says no, that the stopping of the work of the budget is incorrect. So that's a good thing for us. It says the budget items other than the contested articles will be implemented, and the Ministry of Finance has issued instructions for implementing the budget. So they have instructions that they can do portions of it, but ultimately comes this request, it looks like, by the federal government, by the judicial system, forgive me, to have instructions released. Yeah, so the Ministry of Finance is now working to complete the instructions for implementing the budget items, and they will be announced soon. So that article I just read has instructions. The court has asked, it looks like, the Ministry of Finance to submit these instructions because look, the instructions are a necessary component of the budget, which looks like they weren't given to the court at the time. So it says here it's not possible to file an appeal against the items and paragraphs of the budget without the issuance of instructions for its implementation. So the instructions are highly likely to have already been sorted because they tell us that these items were in advance. They knew about it weeks ago, so they probably had it prepared. I believe that the chronological order of these events were June 12th, HOR, Monday morning, 5 a.m., finished the budget. It went off to the president. 21st, it was ratified, and it went into the Gazette. So at this stage of the game, it's law. It's a 3-year tripartite budget that has a clause in it for a subject to clause. So we understand that can be subject to change. And that means if something happens, prices of commodities go up, they have a little bit of leeway in the budget to make sure that it flows smoothly, it keeps it contained, gives them the ability to defend their currency into the future, and to the pricing of their commodities in and out of the country, so they can make adjustments to the budget. It says basically that the courts are openly talking that they're not stopping this, and that it's going to head forward. The backdrop is that the government is the executive track of the budget, and they're seeing to these documents get sorted in the short term. So all of that said and done, there's a few other things that come to mind, and it happens to be today, is that there's a meeting today with Moshan al-Mandalawi. the first Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, who received the Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. So this is the first Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's not Halabusi. So something seems to be a little bit different in this particular case, because Halabusi is the president of that, but they're having a meeting. There's been some articles that make it look like there's been some potential corruption on his part. I could be wrong with that. I'm not saying he is. It's just that there's some people that are out there in articles that support that to be in the wind. But here they're talking about some key words that I like about this. Remember, a lot of the things that we've been seeing have been about implementation and disbursements, okay? And there's also all this talk about, like they said, the United States, combat corruption, okay? This particular article says that the latest developments in the political arena were discussed between Mandelawi and Sudani. It says the importance of speeding up the implementation of the government program, provide services and basic projects to the citizens, that was emphasized, and it was agreed to strengthen cooperation between the legislative and executive authorities to enact laws. That's their mission, okay? I like that part because their mission is to do these things. It says tightening the steps to combat corruption, preserving public money, and following up with the, quote, disbursement of financial allocations in the current year's budget in the places for which they were allocated. So to me, that's really important because that's what they're talking about, the budget. To combat corruption, disbursement of financial allocations means that's the budget. That's those instructions that we are waiting on, the instructions at the court. They need those instructions. We believe that those instructions are how much and when for the disbursement of allocations. The interesting thing here too is the coordination framework official celebration on the occasion of Eid al-Qadr. Well, maybe that's not a big deal to everybody, but it is a big deal to them because it's a religious holiday, again, for the Shia. But here it says the coordination framework will organize the day after tomorrow, which is going to be Saturday, an official celebration on the occasion of Eid al-Qadr in the presence of a high-level presidential, parliamentary, and a ministerial delegation, okay? They go on and say that the celebration coincides with the Great Development. The Great Development is a project. That's the roads, it's the Port-au-Fa, it's the Great Development Project. And the services, talking about the citizens. That last article is talking about the citizens, it's talking about opening the budget, disbursement, allocations. To have the Great Development and the service launch, you need the disbursement of financial allocations. So it goes on to say that the Great Development Service launch and the determined steps to combat corruption, familiar? Last one said combat corruption. The United States said combat corruption. So you're going to see nothing but articles about that over the last couple of days and even today. But it also says to enhance Iraq's regional and international standing. So this is all supposed to happen on or around and celebrate on Saturday. So Great Development Services launched, going to need a rate for that. Enhance Iraq's regional international standing. Well, that's basically coming out into their international standing. Where are they? Remember, their region and international countries are going to benefit from this. And these guys are actually ready to do it. So once they disperse financial allocations for these projects, major projects, they're going to have to be international and internationally accepted. So I was really impressed to see all of this happening. I have abundant articles. All of this work that I've done here is in Patreon, in our forum, and you can go over all of these articles. You can see them for yourself. You can see the emphasis that I put in all my analysis on each and every one of those articles. They're real articles. We glean through them the best we can because there's good, there's bad, and there's indifferent. But what we get, we hope and hope that is the most accurate that we can find. So come on into Patreon, enjoy it. Hey, and if you like my channel, please subscribe. And if you like the content to keep coming, you can hit those donate buttons too, anytime you like. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.